Yes, absolutely. And it's just all we have to do really is be in it and follow it with our hearts. One of the things that I want people to be aware of as well is this is the time where it really is going to take people looking within themselves. There's going to be a lot of, when the magnetics change the way they do, it affects the human mind because we are magnetic beings. We're electromagnetic beings. And so when the Earth's electromagnetic field alters and changes and morphs, things happen to us. And so I want people to be aware that they're going to have, I want to say, interesting thoughts, weird thoughts, thoughts they've never had before, but to be able to sit with them and learn from them. And, especially, there's going to be a lot of tense moments because of the irritations that are caused body-wise from the transition that we're going through. I want to encourage everyone listening and anyone that talks to anybody else about this is to basically have faith that you're going to be okay. No matter how weird things seem, no matter how bad things seem, if you get into a bad mood and you don't know why you're in a bad mood, that's a good time to go sit by yourself and look within and let these feelings pass. Don't try to fight them. Honor them. Look at why they're there, why the negative, hard feelings are there, and then let them pass. It's going to be a trying time. It isn't like this is going to be, a walk in the park. As much as I wish it were going to be a walk in the park, it just can't end that way. No. We have to go through this final fire, but it's a fire of cleansing. It's not a fire of destruction. It's a fire of transition. We are that phoenix coming out of its ashes.
It's a fire of purity, Bear. It's a fire of true purity.
Right. The ashes that we're coming out of, well, I mean, you see it everywhere. You see the riots and the people going, fighting against these regimes, these oppressive regimes. You can see how this is all reverberating around the world. People, they're tired of being, and it isn't so much that they're tired. The frequencies are changing, and it's changing their consciousness. They don't want to be enslaved anymore. Okay?
When you say frequencies, a lot of people probably just think that you're a new ager.
Right.
Now, you and I have terms that we understand, among each other. And no, I'm not just saying that that's wrong in any way at all. When you say frequencies, people don't realize how powerful spoken words are. The old cliche, you are what you say you are. Well, that's not a cliche. Yeah. It really does have some scientific proof behind it, and more so spirit truth behind it. So I just want to make sure everybody understands they don't misunderstand you. I know you. I know what you're saying. But I just want to jump in with that frequencies. Look, there's called, even in the ancient music world, it's called the solfeggio scale. And middle C at C5 is 528 hertz. And now scientists have found out that is what has been named the love frequency. Why? Because our DNA reacts to that particular 528 hertz in a healing way. So when you say frequency, you're just not throwing a word out there. And I just had to throw that in. I thought that was important.
Sure. Well, I'll clarify for myself. What I've come to know through all of my research and studies over the last 30 years has been of finding out that virtually everything is a frequency. Mm-hmm. And so when I talk about frequency changes, I'm saying the energies, the frequencies, the way our brains vibrate. People are put under mind control through frequencies. I can't remember the frequency that's below 428 or 528. The frequency that's used with music, with generalized music today, the pop 40, the top 40 music, that type of popular music.
They drop it
that's
down
done
to
at a frequency.
They drop it down. It used to be middle C, C5 that we call on the piano, and all musicians know. It used to be 528 megahertz. Now it's dropped down, and I got this wrong. Last time I said it's 400, 450, 414. I can't remember. It's dropped down to where everything harmonically in music now is dead and doesn't have life to it.
Right. And that's where I'm talking about with the frequencies. Just what you mentioned, the 528 frequency. I've taken a lot of the music. I've got a program on my computer that I can take music that's made at the old frequency or hertz and put it to the 528. And now I listen to this to the same music that used to make me feel a certain way. Now it uplifts me. Okay, and that's that frequency change. And you can do that. I can't remember the name of the program right now, but just by doing some searching, there's several programs out there that you just download your music into it, and it reformats it at the 528 hertz. It literally takes seconds. It reformats it, and boom, then you can listen to your music at 528 hertz. And that's a pretty incredible thing that's been happening. I know that's something that John Hutchinson was using when he was. I don't even know if he's still doing that work down there.
Yeah, he is.
When he was putting the tones into the water.
They've had remarkable results. We haven't been keeping up with that in the past 2 months, but let me tell you, John Hutchison and Nancy, his partner, they've just had unbelievable results of putting the old Solfeggio scale, and you know what? They even did Gregorian chants based on the old scale, the ancient Solfeggio scale, and had water just becoming clear and dolphins swimming up to them. So, yeah, people don't understand everything around us. Light is a frequency. People don't understand that. Light is broken down into frequencies. Every spectrum of light is a different part of a frequency. So everything is frequency. And that's just to back up exactly what you're saying, Bear. We're about to experience some new frequencies. A lot of people are going to think, oh, no, it's the end of the world. But no, it's actually the opposite. It's the healing of the world.
Yes. And that's what we have to do. And as we change, as we change in frequency, as we raise in frequencies, as we raise in energy, as we raise in the vibrations per second that we exist, that's how our reality is going to change. Because as the inner changes frequencies, you have to start seeing things differently. You're not going to see things as there is something outside of me. You're going to see it as part of you. You're going to be able to see the energies that connect you with the rest of life. Because there isn't anything that we're not connected to. We're connected to things that are virtually on the quote-unquote other side of the universe. There's no non-connection there. And that's what has been foisted upon people with this the left-brained sciences, where they have taken everything and made it dead and made it separate. And these are the things that we don't have to change these things, Michael. All we have to do is ride these frequencies, and these things are changing on their own. And helping people that aren't understanding the changes that they're going through. It helps to know why you're all of a sudden every joint in your body is aching, and you're fatigued, and your head's buzzing. I know most people are just going to run to the doctor when that happens.
Yeah,
and
try to numb it.
Drugs. This is going to lower. Yeah, and it's going to drop their frequency, because what have we been taught as a people? Never, ever, ever face your problems. Never face anything. Don't take a pill to make it go away. And these are it's the opposite of what we have to do. When we look at something that is bothering us, that we're afraid of, that we don't want to hurt from, when you face these things, they magically start going away. They get weakened. And then it's easier to make it through. I don't even, if I get a headache now, I don't just go take a couple of pills and to hide the symptoms. I'll drink some more water. If that doesn't help it, then I sit quietly and I ask why I have a headache.
And meditate.
Usually come to find out, I meditate on it. Yeah, and then I find out it isn't even really a headache. It was something that was bothering me that manifested as a headache. And so I want to encourage people. Excuse me, my headset is not good. I want to encourage people to face their fears, especially now because the fears are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. It's getting, it's like what I say to people all of the time when they're talking about the problems that they've had in life. I ask them, "Are you still here?" Because that's the one thing the ego doesn't want to admit. You've made it through. If you're hearing my words, you've made it through everything you've gone through. Yeah. No matter what it is. Even if you hid from it, you still made it. So that means it can be changed. And that means that, number one, the ego that you hear in your head is lying to you. And that's what people have to come to understand, is that the voices that they hear in their head, that voice that they think is them, isn't them. It's the ego. And that ego will do anything to make itself look right. And it is convinced the majority of humanity that it is in control and that it is them. And that's not the truth. I highly recommend, I normally don't recommend movies, but I highly recommend the movie Revolver. There are some scenes in there, well, the whole movie is a perfect example of how ego works. And in this movie, the character that Jason Statham is playing fights that ego, and the way it's represented is spectacular, because I've had battles with my ego in the exact same way as it did, and as he did, and that's really what's necessary right now, Michael, is for people to start looking at themselves and realizing that these fears are false.